for him.
What's everybody? Happy Friday, everybody. Whiskey Taste Buds. Here to do some whiskey drinking at the end of a long week. And once again, I've forgotten about this light behind me here that makes me look like I have some kind of halo. So I'm going to click my fingers like that and the lights will go out. Well done, Brandy. Hey, Kevin, what's up? Yeah, I'd like to say that you missed a good one last night, but it was a shit show from the get-go.
Oh, hi.
I'm just giving you room on this screen.
You don't social distance from me.
I am. So tonight, last night, I'm having some issues with internet in my house. And so last night was a mess. I could not stay on my Zoom call. They kept kicking me out, and for all of you that were there to witness it, I apologize. And I think
That was a very stressed Adam.
my mom Wendy and Greg for stepping up and co-hosting as best as they could. We got through it, but it was crap, and we're going to be talking to Shaw about it, because ever since we went to 5G, it seems like we've got a very sort of small reach as far as our wireless goes, and there's no reason why I should have been having internet issues last night. But anyway, because of that, I decided to go on here tonight and just sort of recap the whiskeys from our Speyside tasting. And I think I'm going to do it in the order of popularity. So least popular to most popular. And then once I've gone through that, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that, but once I've gone through that, then I've got a special Canada Day themed sample drample tasting as well for you guys. John and Jody, my whiskey taste buds, were gracious enough to grace me with some stellar drams to share with you guys tonight. Or at least I'm hoping they're stellar, because I haven't tried some of them yet, and I'm really looking forward to it. That would be Bella barking at traffic. I'm glad that you guys had a lot of fun last night. That makes me feel a little bit better about how things went, but it was a very stressful evening for me, and I would not like to repeat a tasting like that again. It's really tough to put on a Zoom call and host a Zoom call when you can't see everybody live. All I had was, at the best of times, frozen screenshots of you guys. So I really didn't know if anybody could hear me or see me or anything. So it was very frustrating. And then it would just kick me off. So, yeah, not really happy with that. But anyway, so as I said, last night was the Blue Collar Scholar Whiskey Club tasting of Speyside. So we did all Speyside whiskeys, and I like to think they were pretty well received, short of one maybe, but which kind of surprised me, because I thought maybe people would like it a lot more than they did. And that's the one we're going to start out with tonight. I'm not going to drink a dram because I killed it last night, taking the last little bit from my sample. But the whiskey was a Glenallachie 10-year-old cask strength, bottled at 54.8%. It's batch number 2 by Mr. Billy Walker. So that was the least favorite of the night. I actually quite enjoyed it, but I guess compared to the other drams that we poured, people weren't so on board, which is quite interesting to me because being more of a sort of Highland Island guy, quite often I find the younger whiskeys do a lot better. But anyway, so this one here, again, made by Billy Walker. He's kind of iconic whiskey blender in Scotland. He's taken a bunch of distilleries out of the darkness and into the light, if you will. And this is just his latest pet project. Moving on from Glendronach, Glengassa, Benriach, and so on and so on. So that was the least favorite. I don't have the actual numbers of votes, and then the next, I don't know how to say this in a positive light. The next least favorite was the Macallan number 5, which is, of course, the 5th bottle in the Macallan edition series. And each edition, they focus on a different element of whiskey making. They have some that are paired with, they talk about how it pairs with food, and they paired with high-end restaurants. They had, I think number 4 was all about wood. Anyway, this one here in particular is about color. And they teamed up with the Pantone Institute and Pantone Institute created this special purple that is exclusive to the label on this bottle, essentially, or in the box. Yeah, so my mom's just saying here that Glenallachie had 1 vote for the favorite. I'd be interested to know who was that voted for Glenallachie 10-year-old cast strength. Not that it really matters, just curious. So anyway, so that was Macallan. We had some huge Macallan fans in the group, or maybe at least one. So that was pretty popular. Bottled at 48.5% ABV. Obviously, if you haven't heard of Macallan, then you're very new to whiskey. They're obviously one of the big 3 and probably the most luxurious whiskey name in the market right now. Some of their super old stuff is going at auction for ridiculous amounts of money. And obviously they're good at what they do, but it kind of ruffles the feathers of some of the whiskey geeks out there because it's ridiculous. Yeah, biggest marketing budget, exactly. So every time you watch a TV show these days on Netflix, it seems like Macallan is making an appearance in the show throughout the season, which is all marketing. So Macallan got 2 votes, and I think I probably know who those 2 votes are, one being my Uncle Dan. Then the second favorite whiskey of the night was the first whiskey we started out with, and it was surprisingly really good, and it was the oldest whiskey that our whiskey club has had a chance to sample so far. And I was really happy to be able to share it with everybody, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And that was the Capradonic 21-year-old small batch release. And this, although is only 48% ABV, is bottled at cask strength because of the age. Oh, okay. So you have batch 1. This is batch 2, and I think there's a batch 3 as well. Yeah, the Capradonic is a gem, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's super smooth, easy drinking, incredibly complex once you get down to it. And the fact that it's a closed distillery now makes it pretty pretty special too, because there's not a lot out there anymore. It was supposed to be a duty-free only whiskey, apparently, but somehow Adam Bradshaw managed to get a hold of some duty-free stuff. I have a Longmorn 18 as well that was supposed to be duty-free. Oh yeah, that would be cool to do batch 1, 2, and 3 comparison. Unfortunately, though, I don't know if the Glenallachie batch 2 is available anymore, or at least not where I got it from. So yeah, the Cabertonic was spectacular. I'm not sure how many votes it got, but it had to have been a few, because it had to have been close. That was a special whiskey, and apparently they have a Cabertonic 25 as well, which I'd love to try. Adam tells me it's pretty awesome. So yeah, so that one had 8 votes last night. And then number 1 whiskey, which was my favorite of the evening as well, was the SMWS bottle called Sweet and Juicy Dry Finish, which is a 58.33 distillery code, which is a Strathyla. And a Strathyla is 11-year-old cask strength refill ex-bourbon hogshead from Speyside, bottled at 59.7% ABV. This one was superb, very nice whiskey, incredibly complex. Every time you go, this one had around 10 votes. Everybody loved it. Even people that don't normally are kind of put off by that high ABV, once they got past that, they were just blown away by all the different flavor notes that you get out of it. If you can't get a hold of this particular one anymore, I don't know. I checked out Strath and they didn't have it available. But if you find it somewhere else, grab it. Strathyla, anytime I see a 58 now, I'm going to try and grab one because of this whiskey. It is the oldest whiskey, it's the oldest distillery in Scotland. It was originally established in 1786, which was probably before they started actually producing legally, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's fantastic. The Chivas brothers use it in their blend even today, the Chivas Regal. I think it's a major component of their whiskey, but that obviously is going to change too if that distillery is no longer open. It closed in 2002. So that was superb, and really quite enjoyed it. So that rounded off with 4 drams for the evening. The cask number for the SMWS was 58.33. If you want, I'll just read the little tasting notes that the SMWS provided, because I found it was actually like spot on. The nose had a subtle dryness, like a shoe shine stand, but it was mainly sweet and fruity. Butter, shortbread, creamy vanilla, Rice Krispie squares, marshmallow, marzipan, and chocolate orange creams. 100%. On the palate, juicy orange marmalade, sherbet, and brown sugar, with the dryness coming out in the finish. Black tea, leather, spice, nuts, and oak. It was so good. I didn't actually get a chance to add any water to that one, because I don't always add water to whiskey. Sometimes if I really enjoy whiskey just the way it is, sometimes I'll just leave it. I think probably would be just as good, if not better, with water too. Becomes more delicate, it says, with water. Caramel, toffee, coconut, orchard fruits, and lemon puff biscuits. Hints of canvas and varnished wood. palate became more perfumed, damps and crumble, pineapple sprinkled with salt and chili, and an interesting ginger and orange combination. So yeah, lots going on there. Aside from my technical difficulties, I hope everybody enjoyed it. Having said that, we're going to travel from Speyside. At the end of July, we're going to take you for a tour, a very abbreviated tour because there's actually not a lot of distilleries there, but we're going to visit Campbellton. Although there isn't very many distilleries in Campbellton, there are a few different expressions or brands, and they're all, in my opinion, they're all fantastic. Much like Isla, they're very unique. Some of them have even some real nice funk that some people might like and some people might not. But that's where we're headed next, Campbellton, and that's going to be I believe it's a Thursday, July 30th. So stay tuned. We'll be sending out invites for that one shortly. Let me just wet my whistle here. What's that whiskey you say? I'm not telling you yet. Indeed. Yeah, hopefully I can find, well, yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but hopefully I can find some Campbellton whiskeys that sort of appeal to everybody and some special ones that I think absolutely need to be shared. So anyway, that was our tasting last night. For those of you, banana, yum. For those of you that were there, I apologize, but thank you for attending. And for those of you that weren't, now you know what you missed out on. And make sure you don't miss out next one. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get double bottles of everything, so it'll probably sell out fairly quickly. So don't wait once you get that email. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I appreciate it. I try to find whiskeys that sort of give a broad spectrum of. When I first started collecting whiskeys for the Speyside tasting, I quickly discovered that I had like a whole bunch of sherry bombs, and I'm like, well, no, that's only part of what Speyside's about. And I appreciate, it seems like every time we do one of these, we have a handful of new people that are maybe new to whiskey in general, and I don't want to put anybody off by like cask strength bombs left, right, and center. But at the same time, I don't want to be pouring shite drams that I don't really like either. So I think I found a happy medium here. Some good whiskeys and stuff that I like. Anyway, so the next portion of this evening is got a Happy Canada Day theme to it. And those of you that that know me are probably thinking, oh, great, Adam's going to go to his Shelter Point shelf and just start drinking Shelter Point whiskeys again, just like he always does. Well, as much as I could and would love to go through the Grainbow, that is Shelter Point, for Canada Day whiskey tasting, I'm going to reserve those for another night, and we're going to dabble in some other Canadian whiskeys. Where's my Canadian flag? Well, I've got one on my chest somewhere here, but I want to get it fixed up because I got it when I was like 16 years old, and it's pretty gnarly. So I was fortunate enough to be given some pretty amazing whiskeys here, or at least I hope they're pretty amazing. They sound like they should be. Some of them are not super up my alley as far as brands go, but you have to give credit where credit is due, and these are some big names in the whiskey industry here in Canada. And I think I'll probably be a little surprised. So I'm going to go through each whiskey, and I'm going to tell you what it is, and then just sort of give you my take on it. I don't think I'm going to like dive into tasting notes or anything like that, but nice. That's good. Food quick. I can't wait to see some of your Canadian whiskey videos. That'll be fantastic. So anyway, the first one I'm going to pour or have a sip of is Crown Royal Northern Harvest, bottled at 45% ABV. I have had this whiskey before. In fact, I was given at least a part bottle of it. I can't remember if it was a full bottle or not. And I don't have it anymore. So that means I did drink it. I have never been a huge Crown Royal fan, but I think as Crown Royals go, this is probably nice. Good call, Kevin. This is probably my favorite Crown Royal that I've had. Well, it's up there. Anyway, I had a French oak one that was pretty good too. But anyway, so this is Crown Royal Northern Harvest. This won World's Best Whiskey a few years back, or at least it was named World's Best Whiskey by Jim Murray, who publishes the Whiskey Bible every year. And usually when you see a whiskey with like a score, a numbered score, like a 85 or a 92, that's usually like a Jim Murray rating. So the whole industry kind of reads his book and like they actually pay a lot of money to be in his book because it's good for sales. Yeah. So that's what happened when this whiskey, Crown Royal Northern Harvest, won or got named Best Whiskey of the Year. It got a lot of people fired up, so to speak, because they felt like maybe he was working on his retirement fund and his pockets were being lined to be able to say that this was the world's best whiskey. Exactly, yeah. The harvest was hard to find. There's nothing wrong with that. It's super easy drinking. I can drink it. It's not over the top spicy. It's a bit of fruity and it's a bit of floral. It's a very well-rounded whiskey. I can't really bash it too much. Maybe a little soapy, if you will. It has kind of a soapy taste to it that kind of, but I get that a lot with, and I don't know, I have to do my research. I don't know if this is actually rye or if this is 100% rye or if this is like corn and rye. But with a lot of corn whiskeys, I get that sort of soapy, like hard candy flavor to it. It's hard to explain, but it is very well balanced. Yeah. So that one is not bad. It's nice. I don't mind it. Yeah, I like the fact that it's a 45% ABV. I try not to buy bottles that are bottled at 40%. Even if they make the effort to go to 43%, makes a big difference to me. But my ideal, I think right now anyway, I think the sweet spot is somewhere around 50% ABV. That to me is like, you're really getting the best sort of representation of that spirit. Don't get me wrong, I like cask strength stuff too, but sometimes it takes a lot more effort to get past that burn and get into the character. I think that sort of 50% area is sort of like that perfect compromise for a whiskey to be appealing to a larger demographic, if you will. Just my opinion, though. So that one's quite nice. I quite enjoy that one for a Canadian whiskey. The next one, 46.3 and up. Yeah, agree. The next one is at that magic number I was just talking about. And true story, yeah. Anyway, so this one is 50% ABV. And this is JP Weiser's 35-year-old. So that's getting up there. I don't know how much this bottle retails for, but if you were to drink a 35-year-old single malt, you'd be out of a little bit of pocket money, a little bit of change. So I'm looking forward to this. Pretty ignorant when it comes to Canadian whiskeys. So aside from Shelter Point and a couple other craft distilleries, so this 35-year-old Canadian whiskey was $170. That's pretty impressive. Okay, a little bit more spice on this nose. A lot of oak. A lot of cask on the nose there.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredibly creamy. Delicate. That's quite nice. Yeah, that's very good. I think that's probably the oldest Canadian whiskey I've had. And I really feel like, to me, that's got to be where it's at for Canadian whiskey, which means that there's a bright future, because more and more Canadian whiskey is getting more and more age as we sit here and chat online. There's so much beautiful liquid sitting in a warehouse in casks right now. And yeah. So Jody says I passed by this one so many times when I visit, because they have this huge cabinet full of open whiskeys. And eventually I probably would have gotten to it if I was allowed to just stay there. But there's so many options to try, all these open bottles. When you're visiting them and you have only a small window of opportunity, you have to be very selective. And now I can't even visit them because of COVID, but hopefully someday we'll make my return. My cat Cleo is old and not the healthiest, and she's saying hello to everybody. But I think she's a happy cat right now, so that's good. So yeah, thank you, John and Jody, for this. That's special, and gets me even a little more excited about the next two whiskeys to come. Cleo, Grandma says hello. Yeah, I think that if it's only $170, I think that's worth every penny. Never thought I'd say that for a Weiser's. Yes, we did take her to the vet. She's a little bunged up, constipated, if you will. I don't want to talk too much about this on a whiskey tasting, but The vet sort of gave her some. She's in a lot of pain, and she's like back pain and arthritis, so it hurts. So anyway, we've got some medication and some special food and higher fiber and stuff like that to try and help her along, and it sounds like it's working. So that's good.
She hasn't eaten any of the food.
But she doesn't like the food. She's super picky, which is part of her problem because she'll only eat the crap like Fancy Feast and stuff like that. But she's old enough. She's like 18 or 19 years old or something like that. So she deserves it. So just make her happy. Yeah, a little bit of whiskey or coffee might help too. So yeah, that's JP Weiser's 35-year-old.
And if she's eating.
Cheers to that. And the next one is bottled at 45% ABV as well, just like the Northern Harvest. And this is another whiskey that I would normally walk right past. But tonight I'm given the opportunity to try it, and I'm sure that it's probably been in their shelf at John and Jody's for a while as well. This is a Canadian Club 40-year-old. The 40-year-old Canadian whiskey. Haven't had too many 40-year-old whiskeys from anywhere. So pretty excited about that.
Anti-inflammatory.
Classic rye nose. Maybe corn or rye. Corn and rye.
Carefully inside the mouth.
Again. Oh. Wow.
Okay.
Even more delicate than the 35-year-old. Super smooth and creamy, like velvety mouthfeel. Absolutely delicious. Sorry, just checking a message to make sure I'm not missing out on something from one of you guys. Wow. Yeah, this is... That's special. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to save a little bit of this, a little bit of all these for my father-in-law, Ken, because he's a rye guy. He loves his rye. So whenever I come across a good rye, I make a point of trying to share it with him. And this is as good as it gets. I'll spoil him. Yeah, that is superb. How much does a bottle of CC 40-year-old go for if you can find it? Just out of curiosity, is that like a $300 kind of bottle of whiskey? I feel like, was it the 40 or the 41? I guess it was the 41 this year in the spirits release. Yeah, that's superb. Can't wait to see. $240. 40-year-old whiskey for $240. That's amazing. 1977 was a good year. Just saying. That was also the year my brother was born, as a matter of fact. Maybe that will be the only way I can own a whiskey distilled when I was born in the next year or two, with being born in 1979. Should be coming out. There you go, Mom. If you can find a Canadian Club 40-year-old for Chris, it was distilled in 1977. All right. These, by the way, have actually surprised me. I really had no expectations. Drinking Canadian whiskey, 100% corn. Okay. I don't think, I mean, at 40 years old, I don't think it matters. It's so light and delicate. There's not a lot of complexity there, but it's, I think what really stood out for me was the velvety mouth coating, like just velvet creaminess of it. It was quite nice. I will go back to that one. This next one, the last one, which I'm really excited to try. Okay, so hold on one sec here. So FoodQuig says it was $260. The 41-year-old was about $320. The 42, last year's release was $42, $289. Okay, thank you for that. Those are all, I mean, after trying these ones, all worth thinking about for sure. This next one is really exciting to me. This particular one is called J.P. Weiser's Union Street 52. Bottled at 45% ABV. And the reason it's called Union Street 52, Union 52, not Union Street, is because what they've done is they have created a whiskey. Dr. Don Livermore, who is the master blender at J.P. Weiser's, has created a whiskey with 4% 4% of the overall spirit is a 52-year-old Scotch whiskey. They had 18 barrels of this whiskey that was distilled in 1964 in their warehouse. And they created a whiskey, a blend. They used 16-year-old Canadian spirits. 96% of the blend was 16-year-old Canadian whiskey. And then they added in a 4% 52-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey. I have not been able to figure out from which distillery it hails. That's the one that was in the Scottish distillery from which it hails. But and 4% isn't a huge amount, but I'm looking forward to trying it. And that's sort of kind of cool about Canadian whiskey, how you can sort of take the rules and make some pretty amazing whiskeys that you wouldn't normally be able to make in other parts of the world. So here we go. Palate cleanse there. Okay. Interesting. The color, fairly dark. I don't know if you can see that too well, but fairly dark whiskey. Getting a lot of those typical Canadian whiskey notes, like corn or rye, probably mostly corn. Wow. That's special. That is a really good whiskey. Seems to have a little bit more I don't say character, but a little bit more fight than the 45% Canadian Club 40-year-old, or even the 50% Weiser's 35-year-old. Oh, that's special. Surprisingly complex. There's lots going on there. Like I said, I'm not super keen on doing tasting notes off the cuff for Canadian whiskeys, but yeah, that one I do like. I do like a lot. It would be really interesting to know what distillery that 4% is. But again, it's only 4%, and you're talking about 18 barrels. So, I mean, they probably made, I don't know how many bottles they made of this, but it was probably quite a bit. Yeah, that one, definitely going to have to save a little bit of that for Canada Day. Oh, nice. That's a score right there. So, yeah, that was a bit of an education for me. The big names in the Canadian whiskey industry are capable of putting out some damn fine whiskeys. And Dr. Livermore and the other master blenders at these big companies are definitely good at what they do. You have to give respect where respect is due. Delicious drams. I got one more whiskey that sort of fits into the Canada Day, up and coming Canada Day theme that I'm pretty excited about sharing with you guys. Again, not Shelter Point, but that's coming. I'm pretty excited about all the stuff they're coming out with pretty soon. Can't wait to share those ones with you. I would be drinking those ones here tonight with all these ones, but I only have a little bit left, so I'm rationing it. But I think your wheat whiskey is coming out. I think your wheat whiskey, Shelter Point wheat whiskey, is coming. It's called Forbidden. Is coming out very soon, like within a week. Mr. Webb, if you're still here, which I think you are. Let me just grab this one here. So this other one I'm going to share with you here is, again, like I said, it's a Canadian whiskey, but it's a single malt. And it is a batch 3. And it hails from Turner Valley, Alberta. So this one is a single malt by a distillery in Alberta called Eau Claire Distillery. And the distillery there does a damn fine job. I've tried a couple of her whiskeys, and they're all superb. She, I believe, went to school with Leon from Whiskey Web. I don't think I've seen this on shelves here in BC anywhere, but if you ever see it, grab it. Yeah, I would say it's right up there as far as quality goes with a lot of the craft distilleries in BC. And you got to support all those craft distilleries. I get lovely banana and chocolate notes on this whiskey that is super intriguing. And it is also 100% Alberta barley, which is kind of cool too, because it's in Alberta. So there you go. Whiskey Web says Forbidden, which is their 100% malted wheat whiskey, which is, in my opinion, the perfect summer whiskey. Should be available next weekend. And I will be I don't know about next weekend, but I will be heading there at some point to grab myself some bottles, and I'd be happy to be a little whiskey mule for anybody that wants me to grab them some. Yeah, and they're going to be available in the BC liquor stores now too, which is really cool. Congratulations, you guys. Big step. You guys are going to be run off your feet. Oh, he's drinking Smoke Point 2 right now. Go for it. Oh, no, I got to save it. There's still a few people that I got to spread the good word. There's people that haven't had it yet. Yeah. Food Quick, Eau Claire in Alberta. Super delicious. Very good whiskey. Like I said, lots of banana and chocolate notes, like a milk chocolate, or almost tropical fruit, papaya, mango. That's a good summer whiskey too. Yeah, Smoke Point 2 should be out. Oh, okay, in 2 or 3 weeks. That's cool. I thought Smoke Point was going to be like in the fall. So that's really cool. Yeah, I think, like I said, this is batch 3 for Eau Claire. I have heard that it's not as good as like the first and second batch, but I quite like it. It's very good, and like I said, some super interesting notes. I don't know what barrels they're using, but good stuff. Oh, Smoke Point 2 is phenomenal. I had the pleasure of sampling it already. In fact, I think I haven't had enough peat tonight, so I'm doing it. My little mystery bottle. Just a vDram. Gotta save a little bit for Mom and Greg. Oh, it's like the first Smoke Point that they released plugged into an amplifier, if that makes any sense. All of the same notes, same characteristics, same hints of Lafroig and Isla, same Shelter Point maltiness and sweetness, but it's just turned up a couple notches. Sorry, Mom. That's right. I had the honor of being part of the tasting panel. Whether or not they listen to what I have to say, I don't know. But I appreciate the fact that they even want my input. So, cheers to Shelter Point on that regards, and happy Canada Day. Yes, I have yet to get those 2 exclusives from the Strath. I keep, every time I go online, they're sitting there calling to me. But there's always other stuff I have to get. So it's on my list. Maybe next time, for sure. Yeah, definitely Food Quick. I'd love to hear what you have to say about Echoes of the Hebrides and Patience is a Virtue. Nice. Can't wait to watch that. Wow. Some pretty fantastic Canadian whiskeys, I must say. And I think I can say now without sounding like a snob, I think that the future is bright for the up-and-comers in Canada. And I think the big names have to sort of take note and maybe change and adapt. But I think like I said, I think all the craft distilleries sort of stand on the shoulders of giants too. And hopefully Canada can sort of make their way in the whiskey world and sort of develop their own sort of prestige, if you will. I think maybe a little bit of lack of regulation has probably hurt them a little bit as far as value goes, but I think the rewards are the variety and the ingenuity and the innovation that's happening far outweighs the price per bottle that you can get for a Canadian whiskey. And that's, I guess, the whiskey drinker in me as opposed to the collector. So. Whoa, back up here. Leon, you're saying there's going to be a cask strength exclusive at the distillery of the Smoke Point? Wow, I'm all over that, obviously. Can't wait. Oh. Does not disappoint. That stuff is delicious. Was it going to be like just a cask that you kind of you walk in with your bottle and just kind of fill it at the front door? You should do that. You guys should do a live cask in the distillery there. That would be really cool. You can just bring your empty and fill her up, and whatever it is what you get. Ooh, that would be a great idea, Kevin. I would love to even do a video on that if I could get my hands on samples of everything. I have a bottle of Smoke Point, their first one. I just really don't want to open it. But if I could find a second one, maybe. Oh, regulations say you can't do that. What if it was like a little sort of behind the curtain, nobody knows about kind of thing? Like you just got to go in and say you walk up to Brian, the whiskey guy, and you say a certain phrase, and then he'll respond with a phrase, and then if you have to respond correctly, word for word, otherwise no go. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I love it. Exclusive. Yeah. Oh, misfire. Yeah, just walk in and say, the weather on Monday was quite desirable. And then Brian would say, Would you like an umbrella for your tour? And then you would have to say back, indubitably. And then you're in. And then you get to go sample or fill up your live cast bottle. Oh, Kevin, absolutely. Next time you come over, why, yes, I'd love an umbrella. Yes. Kevin, next time you come over to the island, we'll all go up there and we'll have a good time. And that goes for you too, Food Quig. Let me know when you're coming up. I think Mr. Bradshaw is coming up this weekend, actually, but not sure exactly when. Summer is here and people are starting to travel. Oh. If I was to make a prediction, I would say you guys are not prepared for the kind of attention that Smoke Point 2 is going to get by the whiskey industry. I think it's going to be huge. You guys, honestly, I feel like have achieved what many craft distilleries, what many Canadian distilleries have been trying to achieve. And you didn't even have to source local peat to do it. It kind of takes other peated whiskeys here in BC and just kind of blows them out of the water, in my opinion. And I may be biased, but like I said, I think that one is going to fly off the shelves faster than you can even ever dream. It's just going to go. It sure has, yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head there as far as when to take it out of the cask. Oh, well, it's weird. So after just having a little bit of that Smoke Point 2, I went back to the Eau Claire. And this is like it's just huge banana chocolate. Like I would swear I'm drinking a monkey's lunch right now. It's crazy. It's so good. Maybe you guys should do a collab with Eau Claire. Shelter Point Eau Claire collaboration. Trade some whiskey, trade some spirits, do some blending. That would be good. Yes, Jody, I will be going there, and I can grab you as many as I can. A whiskey pipeline. Yes. I love it. I wonder if they would be interested in doing something like that. Maybe even just for like a single cask or a couple of casks or something. You'll have to come over and sample this one. Or maybe I can bring you a sample of it. You can decide where you're going there. Because it's good. Like I said, it's got some really unique flavors. But it's so different than Shelter Point. And I think it would be really neat to play around with. For sure. Anyway, you guys, it's been a long week for me. A long month. I'm exhausted. And I'm ready to go soak in the hot tub for a bit. Maybe put my feet up and watch some shows with Brandy. Hot tub time for sure. Thanks for tuning in. And I will try and get some videos recorded and stay up on the whiskey reviews. I kind of dropped the ball the last couple of weeks. It's just been crazy. But I really wanted to do it. thanks you all for tuning in, and see you next time.